Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, Marley. How are you? Hello. Hi, peeps. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Hi, Becca. I am well. How am I? I don't know. Somebody asked me how I was today, and I was just like, I guess I'm okay. That's my response these days. I guess I'm fine. I don't fucking know. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Woke Wednesday. So there are so many things that I want to cover, and I realized that it's kind of crazy how it's Wednesday, right? And Wednesdays used to be like, oh, hump day, let's get through the week. And by Wednesday, I feel like I have fucking climbed Everest. Do the rest of you feel that way, or is it just me? Maybe I should just stop like watching the news, which, to be fair, I have a news diet. I only watch a few hours a day and I mostly read. But I'm telling you, by the time Wednesday comes around, I'm just like, is it okay to drink bourbon in the middle of the afternoon? I'm sure it's not. But I don't, but I'm just saying, like, that's how I feel in my heart. So much has happened this week already, and so I'm just going to jump right in to today's Disunited States of America is essentially where we are. One thought, well, I thought, and maybe because I wanted to be hopeful, you know, I had a little bit of, as I say on Woke AF Daily, my mustard seed of hope. I was hoping that at this point, you know, Republicans would have realized that they lost the presidency, they lost the Senate, they lost the House. And I thought that by this point, they would realize that Trumpism is not a winning fucking ticket, that it actually is destructive. But lo and behold, no, when given the opportunity to do the right things, Republicans will continue to double down on the fucking worst thing possible, which is, you know, the continued destruction of our democracy. So I want to start today with yesterday. I'm going to start today with yesterday, which was me watching. Did you all watch the ceremony for the Capitol Police officer, Brian Sicknick, who laid in the rotunda yesterday? So last night, and I also try and make a habit of not watching the news after a certain time so that I can, you know, decompress and not have nightmares. But last night I wanted to watch the ceremony. And I'm thinking to myself, as the ashes and the flag is being brought up the east steps of the Capitol building, and I'm thinking to myself that this man was murdered here. In this place, in this historic place, Trump supporters, white supremacists, rioters, terrorists, whatever the fuck that you want to call them, descended on our Capitol building and killed this man. It is now, the tally apparently, folks, is up to about 7 people have died, right? There have been 4 rioters and then a couple of Capitol police officers. But get this. There are reports coming out that not only did people die, right? And of course, we're going to focus on that because it's incredibly important. But there are police officers that were actually maimed. One of them lost 3 fingers. Another one lost an eye. Another one has severe spinal injury. But Republicans want us to move on. They want us to continue with this idea that, oh, this wasn't an insurrection. There was nothing wrong that happened here. No accountability is required. Oh, it's unconstitutional to continue with the impeachment trial that is set for next week, February 8th. They've already said that they're not interested in voting in any way that is going to show that they have learned their lessons, because God forbid, right? Like, Republicans don't ever have to learn their lesson because they don't ever have to be responsible for anything. So I'm watching this service, and then I see this morning, right? This was the farewell service as they're headed to bury police officer Brian Sicknick in Arlington Cemetery. And you know who I see out there and, you know, who was there last night, their hand on their hearts and looking all, you know, grief-stricken, is Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy. And all that fills up inside of me is a level of fucking rage and heat that I believe that I could literally set them on fire if I saw them just by looking at them. That's the kind of heat that emanates from me when I see their bullshit political performance of the hand over the heart as if they are some type of patriots, as if they were not complicit and a part of what ended this man's life. You see, it wasn't just the people who had a guillotine and fucking javelins and knives and guns and zip ties and all of this shit that caused this man's death and the deaths of others and the maiming of others. No. It was Mitch McConnell saying nothing, right? While he stacked the courts with 300 unqualified federal judges because they were conservative, because he wants to create an apartheid state in America where there is a minority rule, right? Because they know that the demographics are shifting, but they're not interested in trying to win over people's votes. No, they're interested in the suppressing of people's votes. They're interested in the ownership of women's bodies and Black lives, right? That's what they want. That was the goal here. And so Mitch McConnell now coming out with his hand over his heart as if he has a heart, right? Like, I'm sure he's like this, like, where is it? Because it clearly cannot be there. I watch them and I'm disgusted. And what's even worse is that as the media is reporting about it, they're like, oh, well, there are the leaders of, you know, the two parties standing side by side. And I'm like, are you fucking dumb? I know that I ask that question often and it's a rhetorical fucking question, right? But are they fucking dumb? Right? Like that we don't know, that we're unaware that right now, folks, and many of you are probably on Twitter. I'm trying to be on Twitter and on here because right now, the entirety of the Republican House is meeting, deciding the fates of 2 of their members. Now, let me lay out for you where Republicans are right now, right? So they're weighing on the expulsion, not the expulsion, but essentially the expulsion of committee assignments and leadership assignments for 2 of their members, 2 women, right? Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney's daughter, and that kook fucking nut job, Marjorie Taylor Greene. So Kevin McCarthy, who is the leader of the Republicans in the House, has essentially said nothing, right? Because that motherfucker was on a plane last week going to kiss the ring of Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, right? COVID Central. The COVID capital is what I like to call that place. So he has said nothing, right? Taking no steps whatsoever and said that Democrats can do whatever it is that they want as it pertains to stripping Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee assignments. Now, why do we want her committee assignments taken away? Because somebody thought that it was a good idea to put her on the Education and Labor Committee when she chased down a then teenager, David Hogg, who had survived the Parkland shooting, to tell him that she had a concealed weapon, right? To threaten him. She was a grown-ass fucking woman running down a teenage boy to threaten him, who had already survived a traumatic situation, a traumatic event, the deadliest high school shooting that we had to date that killed 17 people, including teachers, right? But Marjorie Greene, no, she thinks that that's a conspiracy theory. She thinks that they're all hired actors. Right? And I guess their parents are actors and their grandparents are actors. And I guess the grave sites, right? I guess that was a Hollywood production as well. She also believes that Newtown was some type of liberal setup. She also believes that somehow laser beams are shooting down Judaism onto America. She also believes that there is a Muslim insurrection because we have Muslim members of Congress, right? The list of this woman's fuckery, right? The list is extensive. But Kevin McCarthy and Donald Trump believe that the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world are the future of the Democratic Party. Now you may be saying, Danielle, well, why are they looking to strip Liz Cheney, who is the 3rd highest ranking member in the House, of her committee assignment? Well, because she decided to go against Donald Trump and what is that thing called? Believe reality. and believe in the fact that Donald Trump didn't win the fucking election and that he is a liar and a fraud and he's responsible for the insurrection that took place on 1/6. So here's where the Republican Party is at this very moment, making a decision about whether or not they are the party of QAnon conspiracy crackpot bullshit, or they are a party that is trying to reestablish themselves after Donald Trump has burned them down. This is where they are. And guess what I think? Guess which path I think they're going to choose? I think they're going to go the Marjorie Greene route, right? I think that they're going to go the Josh Hawley and the Ted Cruz and the fucking Lindsey Graham. Let me talk about that fucking Lady G. Lindsey Graham, you piece of fucking trash. I hate this man so goddamn much. And I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you people in South Carolina. You had the opportunity to elect Jamie Harrison, somebody with a brain, somebody whose entire face wasn't up Donald Trump's ass. But instead, you chose Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham has decided that he wants to hold up, right? He was going to try and hold up the judiciary because he was still head of the Judiciary Committee because, 2 weeks since we've had the inauguration, the Senate didn't manage to vote on the resolution, the fucking rules that would allow the gavels to shift from Republican holding them to Democrats holding them because they thought we were going to have some type of bipartisan kumbaya. Again, what the fuck is wrong with you, Chuck Schumer? Like, when people show you who they are, believe them. I don't understand how many times you have to be beaten over the head with your fucking olive branch for you to recognize that these people don't want to fuck with you. When people don't want to fuck with you, don't fuck with them, right? Like, it's not that hard. It really isn't. And so I get just fucking beside myself because we are in a situation where Lindsey Graham still had the ability to hold up the Judiciary Committee, to hold up, once again, Merrick Garland's confirmation to become the Attorney General of the United States. Now ask yourself this quick question. Why would Lady G want to hold up Merrick Garland from becoming the Attorney General of the United States? Could it be, I don't know, that he can be under investigation for his sycophantic behavior in sucking up to Donald Trump? Could it be that maybe we should investigate the election in South Carolina? Because remember, it wasn't only but a few weeks ago that Lindsey Graham got on the phone to call Georgia, a state that he is not a senator in, to then ask Raffensperger, right, the Secretary of State for Georgia, to not certify the election for Biden, right? Doesn't that sound something like find me 11,792 votes or something like that? Maybe? Maybe they want to hold up Merrick Garland once again, right? Because it's fucking Groundhog's Day. By the way, it was Groundhog's Day yesterday, but I feel like this is Groundhog's year. So what does it matter if he saw a shadow or not? Nonetheless, I think that these folks want to hold up, justice, because that means that somebody is going to start digging into all of the hot shit that they have been a partner to over the past 4 years. So Lindsey Graham, this just broke before, and I'm gonna pull it up. So Newsweek, right, breaks this story that Lindsey Graham threatens to switch the focus, right, with regard to impeachment to focus on Kamala Harris, because he thinks that the vice president, while she was the Attorney General of California and letting people out on bail, is what led to an insurrection some years later. And that's what he wants to turn this into a reckoning about. Follow the bouncing ball of bullshit, because that's exactly what Lindsey Graham is doing. Just throwing all the fucking balls at the wall and seeing what's going to stick. Do you know what doesn't stick? The statement that Trump's attorneys, these crackpot attorneys, realized that nobody wanted to represent Donald Trump in this upcoming impeachment trial. No one with a reputation that they actually want to uphold, right? So they put out their statement, their brief, claiming that it's unconstitutional for the Democrats to be going after Donald Trump now that he's a private citizen, because they say that there's no precedent for this. There is, if you are a student of history. The precedent goes back to the 1800s, but I digress. They don't read, so it doesn't really matter. But get this. The level of ignorance, folks, They didn't even spell the United States right in their brief. It was spelled wrong. Those are Trump's attorneys. Spell check. Like even the minor, the smallest fucking things that you can do, these motherfuckers don't do. They just don't. Right? So that just shows you where we're headed with this trial, this fucking circus that is going to start next week. I mean, I might as well just put a straw in a bottle of Tito's to get me through next week because I just don't even know. I have lost so much faith just in general. And the piece that I wrote this week that's up at Zora magazine, and I want people to really wrap their minds around this. I wrote this, that the GOP is still here and Trumpism isn't gone. Everybody wants me to move on. They're like, Danielle, stop talking about Trump, right? Stop talking about these things. We have a new administration. Things are going to shake out. And I'm like, shake out where? Because the FBI is putting together warnings that the rise of white supremacist terrorist organizations really big, that they have infiltrated all parts of our government, our police forces, departments, all of these things, right? And we're not doing anything to hold the white supremacists that were on video and on social media truly accountable because, you know, they can request organic food while they're in prison or they get sent home on bail, you know, nice things like that. Or this bitch. So this white Karen, that's what I'm calling her. I don't know her name and I don't give a fuck. Okay. So she decides to appeal to the courts that she wants to be able to take her Mexico vacation that was prepaid because she didn't do anything wrong. This is in The Cut, New York right now. It is in USA Today. It is in the New York Times. It is literally everywhere, this story. So that she can go to Mexico. She is on video, pictured inside of the Capitol building, right? As an insurrectionist. And get this, pause for shock, pause for it. The judge said she could go to Mexico. What in the fucking whiteness is this? Like, I swear to God, I swear to God. You know, I haven't left my house in days, and I don't think that I need to. Because every time that I leave my house, I just want to scream. I want to scream at everybody that I see. How in the fucking caucasity do you have this fucking insurrectionist Karen go and appeal to the fucking judge that she should be able to take a trip to Mexico because her fucking ass prepaid for it and the judge says, yeah, bet, go ahead. What? Okay, let's just put this in focus for a minute because this is what guts me to my fucking soul when I want to give up on this fucking country, move to Costa Rica and like just, you know, cut my internet access off. Just talk to family vis-a-vis letters, right? This is this type of shit. Several years ago, right? We had the case, many cases, as a matter of fact. I won't even just signal out one. How many times do we hear cases of Black people being in jail, getting sentenced to the maximum, right? For nothing, for just having to be Black, happening to be Black, right? Khalif Browner is the case that comes to mind here in New York. Khalif was picked up on suspicion of a stolen backpack that never materialized as it being stolen. He was 16 years old, thrown in fucking Rikers for 3 years, spent a majority of that time in solitary confinement as a fucking child. Parents could not afford bail because we're still operating on a cash bail system which penalizes the poor. Khalif Browner, when he was finally released because there was no trial, there was nothing whatsoever. The only reason that they held him is because he was young, he was Black, and he was picked up, right? 3 years. He killed himself after that. He killed himself after that trauma. The fucking state killed him. This country killed him. White supremacy killed him. But this fucking Karen bitch gets to ask to go on vacation after trying to violently overthrow the government. That's all you need to know about America. That's it. That's all you need to know. You don't even need to read anything. You don't even need to research. This is the America that black people live in and white people get to exist in, right? You saunter into the Capitol building with knives and zip ties and screaming at the top of your lungs to hang members of Congress. It is only through the grace of God that I keep tweeting and saying to folks. The only reason why we didn't see a series of funeral processions is because, right, that there were some actors, right, like we saw Officer Eugene Goodman, who was able to deter a white mob away from the floor of the Senate while members could be able to be evacuated. But we are still hoping and praying for 17 Republicans to do what the fuck is right and hold Donald Trump accountable? I'm telling you, this is, people want to tell me that, like, America, we deserve the applause. We staved off, authoritarianism. We clipped the wings of fascism. Like, we did these things with our vote. No, the fuck we didn't. We pressed pause, folks. That's what this 4 years is. It is pause. Do you know why? Because unless we actually do something to get these people out of office, to eliminate the threat that is still inside of the House, that is still buried inside of the Capitol building, until we do something about it, folks, all we're doing is buying time with the Biden-Harris administration. That's all we're doing. You're telling me that we can't get 17 Republicans to vote that the rally that Donald Trump held but a few hours before the insurrection happened, that we can't get them to do the right thing? Like, are you crazy? Is this, like, this is where we are? People died? Do you know what Fox News, by the way, oh my God, I don't watch Fox, you know that, right? Because my blood pressure, can't. Do you know what Fox News was showing last night when every other news station was showing the ceremony for Officer Brian Sicknick? They were showing some bullshit, I think, about Hunter Biden on Fox News. Like, this is where we are. This is how disunited we are. This is how fucked our democracy is. And so folks want to tell me that, like, elections matter. And of course they do. Of course they do. We now own the Senate because of the good people of Georgia, Stacey Abrams, Black PAC, and all of these organizations, Black Vote, doing the thing, doing the work, right, that white people avoid. Right? Black people constantly having to clean up, right? But at the end of the day, all we are doing is waiting for the pendulum to swing back all the way to the right. All we're waiting for is people to go back to sleep. Oh, the insurrection, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big deal. Did you all, let me ask you, did you all watch Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's video from Monday? I watched it last night in its entirety. And I have, man, let me tell you something. Somebody brought this up to me and I said, yeah, I saw it. They said, look at the fear, right? The trauma, being re-traumatized, especially as she so courageously offered to the rest of us the fact that she is a victim of sexual assault. Just look at the photos of those Republican members. Remember them, the videos of them not taking masks, right? The videos of them denying, the taking of the masks as they were sheltering in place. Do you remember how calm they looked? Do you remember how relaxed they looked? The Capitol building is being stormed, right? There are people screaming, there's broken glass, there's bullet holes, there's all of these things. But those Republicans seemed awfully calm, didn't they? As if they knew something was coming and so they didn't need to be worried. Those are the things that I've been noticing as the video is being played back and as I'm listening to Congresswoman AOC recount her treacherous day. And I'm thinking to myself, this was a setup. The call came from inside the House. This was a fucking setup. And anybody that wants to tell me otherwise isn't paying attention. AOC said from Sunday before the insurrection that occurred on Wednesday, 1/6, on Sunday, she started to notice the shift, right? She started to notice that, like, why wasn't there any security? Why aren't there any security measurements? She's starting to notice people clocking her in the grocery store, right? From Monday, she's going into her local grocery store and realizing that eyes are all on her. And she goes, you know, I don't know if you all know what it's like to be at a bodega at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And like, you know that like some shit is about to go down, like somebody's about to get jumped. That's how the fuck she felt. She felt that way so much that on Tuesday, she decided that she wasn't going to be leaving the house alone. So you tell me how all of these things start to play out. But everybody who was in charge of creating security measures wants to act like this shit came out of the blue. Came out of the blue? Really? Because from Monday, they started with their rallies. From Monday, they were on Freedom Plaza, which is in Washington, D.C., just down the street from the Capitol building off of 16th Street, off of Pennsylvania Avenue, right? Their rallies had begun to grow. And she says, and so I'm getting to the Capitol building and noticing that all we have is wire, like one row of wire fencing that is at your waist. She's like, you can't even say the word Black Lives Matter without the National Guard being called out and there being concrete barricades, right? So how is it that AOC, Ayanna Pressley, and others are terrified and start to feel the energy shift in the city days before 1/6 happens, but the people in charge of security didn't? Because the call came from inside the fucking house. And so we are what? Hoping that the accomplices to the insurrection are going to do their due diligence and what now side on the err on the side of democracy? That's what we're hoping for? Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, Marjorie Greene Taylor, Lisa Bobbitt, all of these motherfuckers got to go. Right? They are the cancer. They are the cancer. I believe wholeheartedly, folks, that they were in on it. I believe wholeheartedly there were members of Congress that came out and said on January 5th, they're giving reconnaissance tours. How is it that AOC is afraid for her life? Because they figured out where her office was. And I've told you this. I worked on the Hill for many years. The Hill is like a matrix. Right? So lay people can't figure out what's behind unmarked doors, can't figure out very quickly how to get from one side to the other. You can't. Right? I worked on the Hill. I would still get fucking turned around. So you're telling me these people knew directly how to get to AOC's office, knew directly how to get to the unmarked offices of Whip Clyburn and Speaker Pelosi inside the Capitol building? Folks, if it don't smell right, it ain't right, right? So now we have this account, and I'm telling you, these are, you got Josh Hawley giving his white power, flashing his white power, right? You got Ted Cruz now this week on some fucking bullshit podcast talking about, this is never what I wanted. Bitch, what? You sat on this, you stood, not sat, you stood on the stage at the rally telling people to take their country back by force. Are you dumb? I truly believe that they think Americans are stupid. I really do. I'm going to go over just like 2-3 minutes because I'm really pissed off today. Because I just find it so egregious that nobody wants to line up the dots, that nobody wants to connect them. You had Republicans on 1/6 that clearly did not seem worried or feel threatened at all. And the only way that you wouldn't be worried or threatened when an angry mob of thousands is breaking into the Capitol building by force is if you knew it was coming. And if you knew that you had some code word or some flash or anything that you could provide that would allow them to know that you were on their side. But how AOC recounts that day is that she knew it was coming. She knew that something bad was coming. So how she knew, and again, the sergeant of arms, the chief of Capitol Police, just said, no, we're good. We're not paying attention to any of the things around us at this moment. Folks, I'm telling you, our democracy is not safe. We are not safe. And people need to remain vigilant and pay the fuck attention to what is going on, because what they do, right? The lessons, the parts of gaslighting, right? And I talked about this morning on Woke AF Daily. Psychology Today put out the 2 days after Donald Trump's inauguration, the 11 signs of gaslighting. AOC said it in her Monday Night Live. And I will say it again. These are tactics, the tactics that Republicans are using, this whole move on, this whole like, oh, let me put my hand over my heart and show that I'm grief-stricken and all of this shit. This is what abusers do. They are the abusers of America. Right? And until you stop, until you recognize what is happening, right, the entire cycle will continue. These people are not a political party anymore. They are a domestic terrorist organization. They are operating like a fucking cult. And if we all don't start to get hip to this shit and think that there's going to be compromise and collaboration with people that literally tried to have you killed, like, let me ask you, like, how do you go to work the next day? How do you go to work the next day knowing that there are not one, not two, but an entire party of people that tried to have you killed, and you think that that's just gonna be fucking okay? Like, how does the media just want to move on and like, oh, let's talk about, you know, SpaceX or whatever bullshit program the Trump administration had put together? Like, that's where we are? I wish we could go to space, because I'd like to get the fuck out of here. Because as that song that went viral on IG said, Earth is ghetto, okay? America is the fucking ghetto, and I would like to leave it, right? Until they figure their shit out. Because this shit is just taking too much effort and too much work on a day-to-day basis to deal with this level of fuckery all the goddamn time. But I have to tell you, folks, pay attention next week to the trial. Pay attention. Do not turn off the news. Do not click out of it. I tell folks to dip in and dip out, take breaks so that you don't have a breakdown. But I'm telling you right now, if you think that we are safe, if you think that our democracy is going to sustain on wish and hope, I got news for you. I honestly have news for you. They are gaslighting the fuck out of us, okay? They are gaslighting the fuck out of us. And they are pretending that we're the ones that are making this up. 7 people are dead. 7 people are dead. 7 people are dead because of a white terrorist mob riot that took place less than a month ago. 7 people are dead, and America wants us to move on, and Karen wants to go on vacation to Mexico and gets the green light, and another bitch wants organic food in jail. Like, where are we? Where are we? I'm just exhausted. I really am, and I know you all are too. So, folks, pay attention to next week. If you have not signed up for Woke AF Daily, where you get me once a day, an hour a day, 5 shows a week for $5 a month. Totally sign up. Go to wokeaf/patreon.com. No, it's patreon.com/wokeaf. My producer, Andrew, is going to kill me, right? It's patreon.com/wokeaf, and sign up for my show, Woke AF Daily, regularly. And you can also check me out with my friend Torre for Democracy-ish, which we do every week, and that goes up live on Thursdays, which will be mañana. All right, folks, that is it for me today on Woke Wednesday. Check out my column at Zora.com, at Zora Magazine, on Trump and the fact that Trumpism is not dead. And I appreciate all of you. Stay well. Continue to take care of yourselves. Ground yourselves in mental health, in self-care. Work out, eat well, drink water, stay hydrated, stay sane, because the times are fucking crazy. They really are. And you're not crazy for feeling crazy. I just want to say that, because I feel crazy on a regular basis, but I want you to know that you are not alone. If you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling depressed, if you're lacking energy and creativity and all of these things, take a fucking nap. Like, do some deep breathing, Give yourself grace because you deserve it. We're living through multiple motherfucking pandemics. I don't know how we're doing it, but we're doing it. And we're doing it together. Appreciate you all. Until next Wednesday. Power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke and stay woke as fuck. Ciao.